course. Yeah. No, thank you, Dan. Really, I mean, it was a nice message to get, and like you said, we'd kind of passed in with him at some point, drunkenly, probably. So I, for the last 22 years, have been quite heavily involved in the asbestos industry. That's my kind of background, and for 16 of those, I co-owned my own asbestos surveying and removal company, um, which was founded from a dining room table and a 3-month-old baby in the corner, with a loan and no assets. And we grew that business to, when I left 18 months ago, to a £6 million turnover company, and that still is continuing to grow and
Yeah,
improve. Um, I chose to leave 18 months ago due to some personal situation that had happened, and sell my shares within the business. But it's still all a very amicable position, and still work with alongside Oracle, which was obviously my business, and still continue to. When you're in an industry for such a long time, you kind of don't tend to be able to leave it very easily. So yeah, still quite
yeah,
heavily involved with
yeah,
asbestos and that side of things. But the natural fit for that is obviously construction. So 2 years ago now, I got nominated, shortlisted, and won a Female Business Owner of the Year award for the Women in Construction Awards, which were held by UK Design and Build, which was Michaela Wayne and her team.
yeah,
So that was quite a pivotal kind of moment in my career. That kind of springboarded me into so many different groups at that point. The inspirational women out there in those industry sectors. So Michaela herself, Ronnie Savage, Dr. Carol Massey, Helen Chorley, just some of the women out there that are doing fantastic work within the women in construction spaces. And
yeah,
yeah, it just kind of gave me a different room of people to be involved with, and then the Worshipful Company of Constructors as well, which is one of the London liveries, quite active within that space. So that's given me a platform to work from as well. So and here
yeah.
we
It's good.
are.
Is it Michaela who's on The Apprentice?
Yeah, yeah. Michaela Wayne
Yeah, yeah. I
Consulting.
reached out. Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
right. She built that. She built a platform, didn't she? Like Glenigan's.
yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
she's pretty impressive. She's pretty hardcore. So yeah,
yeah.
she's a fantastic person, big influence, and been a big support for me
I
over the
reached.
last
I
year.
reached out to her after that because I saw her idea was that, and obviously working in construction, it was really interesting. So I actually spoke to her after she came off The Apprentice to
Yeah,
try and work out what it was that she was doing. There was no fit at the time, but yeah, she was great. She was brilliant on there, and what a way to get your face out into the market.
yeah. So she's a big personality. She's a kind person. She's got some big ambitions, great dreams. But at the end of the day, she's come from a working class background. She's come from an privileged area, the same as I did. I mean, I grew up and started my life in Grimsby. Not a fantastic kind of start to life in the surroundings that I was brought up with, but I had fantastic grandparents. I lost my mum at quite an early age. And my dad wasn't around, but my nan and granddad were a great support to me. So I kind of owe them a lot, to be fair.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I do. So obviously you work now with it's RS Elite, isn't it? Is that the name of the business?
yeah, that's correct. So
Yeah.
following me leaving and selling my shares within Oracle Asbestos, then I decided, with a lot of soul searching and a lot of conversations with people as to what I was going to do. I didn't necessarily want to go and work for another asbestos company or within or set anything up on that side of things. So I started working with a few different people within the construction sectors. So um, with a design and build fit out company, a passive fire company, a solar company, that were all looking, growing businesses that weren't necessarily looking to have full-time sales directors or anything like that. So kind of a
Yeah.
step down from like a non-NED really, I suppose. Somebody that could kind of give them some consultancy advice on their business, look at new opportunities, look at some key account management for their existing clients, and ultimately source new inquiries from that perspective. So a lot of the people that I work with, they're not huge networkers. They understand the power of networking, but it's just not for them. They don't want to do
Yeah.
it. They're quite happy to be the face behind sort of thing. So they've kind of said to me, yeah, you go out and kind of be the face for our business. So, and that's worked quite well for the last year, and I'm enjoying it. I'm not going to lie, I do miss being part of a team. I've got thousands of fantastic connections out there and people that I can phone up to every minute of every day. But I do sometimes kind of miss being part of that kind of that team where you've got people to kind of bounce some ideas off, or being in an office and having
Yeah.
that kind of buzz and that, well, what did you do at the weekend sort of thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
I went and
Yeah.
worked locally somewhere the other day, and in like one of these shared office spaces, and that was quite nice because there was lots of people kind of buzzing about that. People are open to conversation, so that was okay.
Yeah. Is it just you then? Is it just you that works
Yeah,
for
yeah,
you? Just work for yourself. There's no team.
yeah, yeah. Me, myself, and I now. So I'm HR and IT. So yeah, it's a big culture shock. I mean, like I say, I've got some fantastic people around me, friends. I've got a really supportive partner. So that it's not, but it just can be, and I'm sure like you'd appreciate it, and certainly some people that are kind of sole owner of businesses, it can be quite like kind of lonely when you think, oh, I wonder about this,
Yeah.
and you can pick the phone up and get the answer, but sometimes not quite the same as being in an office, is it? And shouting over to
No,
somebody, or so.
totally get
But
that. Totally get that. So with the you had an anniversary, didn't you, recently for the business? Was it a year? Was it 2 years? I saw.
yeah,
How long
so a
it been?
year. It
How
would
long?
have been in
Yeah.
July, or back end of June. I think
Yeah.
1st of July, 2023 was when I went kind of solo, if you like. And
That's
yeah,
right. I saw
it's
the
been a
post to
fantastic journey.
celebrate the
Yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah. So I was in Turkey. So I was in Turkey when I announced that I was going solo and leaving Oracle, and then a year later we were in exactly the same hotel in the same. So it was,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but it's been a
So tell
fantastic
me,
experience. So
yeah, it's good, and I think what your insights are doing, it's brilliant. It's that transition for people that are working within businesses and then going into what you're doing. It's really interesting, and with your online presence, then have you was I'll start that again. With your online presence, have you purposely built that, or has it just organically happened? Like, have you got a strategy in place because you got a big following on LinkedIn, you use it a lot, and was there a strategy behind it?
no, I'm going to be totally honest. If you'd have asked me 5 years ago, LinkedIn, I'd have been like, LinkedIn linked what? I had a profile, I think, that I'd set up because I had no past experience of it or training in it. Um, a couple of people that I knew were like, you need to B2B, you need to kind of be getting on here. And so I kind of just started, I think at the time I had 400 connections or something like that. And I remember after a few months of kind of doing, just interacting with other people's content, to be fair, I had no aspiration to create any content or anything. It's like what I'm going to talk about. I was still kind of learning a little bit as to even what it was. It was
Yeah.
like, so I started doing that, and then I think we got up to 1,000 followers, and I had like this big like little dance around the kitchen, and got all excited because I had like 1,000 connections and stuff. And then lockdown hit, or COVID hit, and all of a sudden some of the content that I perhaps would have shared or liked, and I wasn't putting my own content on at this point either. Um, and then I thought somebody said to me, "Why don't you do a video?" And I was like, "Oh no, no, I can't do that. Put myself on screen, not a chance." That was my dulcet Grimsby tones on there. No way. I remember being, I remember as a kid, like when you used to hit play and record to record yourself on a cassette machine, and you heard it back, and I
Yeah,
hated the sound of my own voice. Um, but I did. I wrote a script. I remember setting my laptop on the phone up, like having paper either side, what I was going to say, word for word, verbatimly, and recorded this video about, must have been at least 20 times. Um, and then I think it was
yeah,
about
yeah, yeah, yeah,
4 or 5 minutes long. You can see me looking at the looking at the side and reading stuff. I was really sounded really nervous. It came up on a memory, I think, on my phone a year or two ago, and I was like, oh my god, that's cringe. It's so bad. And I put it up, and it got like some really. I just kind of spoke normally. There was no agenda. I kind of did the script from just so that I didn't miss anything out on what I wanted to talk about, but there was no agenda. It was just, and it got some really good interaction. Obviously, I suppose at that time everybody was screen based, nobody was kind of going anywhere. So, and I just did that, and then I started doing some online networking with a networking event that I was working with at the time, which was Property Connect. And we took the networking online with that, which I hosted for probably 6 months. Um, and then just built. Then I started going back out to networking when we was allowed to, and I just started just feeding the content and just personal, not personal, but just normal life stuff. And people were going, "Oh, you have to be careful. It's not Facebook." And but
yeah,
I've never been on a single LinkedIn training, and I've never been on a book, and I don't understand the algorithms. I don't understand how it works. I've picked up things from people that people say, um, and people could probably come to me and say, well, if you did this, if you did that, you'd increase X, Y, and Z. But it's all been a complete organic growth, and I think I'm probably at 24,000 followers. My content doesn't get hundreds of thousands of impressions or comments. I probably average about I don't know, 3 to 5,000 impressions. Um, I think the biggest one that I ever had was the one that I did recently about um, like my sober journey and going alcohol free and taking a break from alcohol. Um, and I think that's up to something like 200,000 impressions and
yeah,
about
yeah,
150 comments. I mean, it's gone mental, and I never expected that. It wasn't, again, none of my posts are done or any of my content is done for likes or like validation or anything. And I will only post if if I've got something to post. I don't make stuff up or create content.
yeah.
Everything that I put up is me. It's real.
What you're doing,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And people resonate with that, and I think
No,
I
they do,
get a
they
lot of
do.
messages,
That's why
and
it
you
gets so
probably
much
do.
love. Yeah,
Yeah, you probably get like messages yourself from people, and you think that, oh, that post was a nothing, or I didn't get much interaction, but you sometimes get messages from people, and they'll be like, "Oh, just wanted to say thank you for that post. I needed that today." And you just think, if I can
yeah,
reach one
yeah,
person with some kind of resonation, and whether it be a personal thing, a personal journey, or whether it be a thought or a business idea or anything, if they can get something from that, then I just think then, well, it's done its job. Um, so so yeah.
yeah. Definitely. I think you're absolutely right. With posting and things, I did one the other week about putting your face on camera, and I was kind of being a bit like tongue in cheek, like everyone do it, and what had happened was I got some messages in my inbox saying, I really, really want to do this, and now I'm inspired to do it. And
Yeah,
I was then tagged in their post of doing a video, and I came away thinking, there's so much that we can give, and I sit and think, oh, is there any point? Like, is anyone listening? But yeah,
yeah,
and then I was getting messages saying, thank you so much. I feel inspired. So I'm like, but yeah, I get it. And other thing as well, which the platform has done, it's brought people together. I would have never have met you or known you. I mean, we have met. Like I said, we've met in
in
Mipium on the
yeah, yeah,
streets after about 12 years. I think so. I can't say I've met you, but what LinkedIn has done is it's brought me closer together with so many different people. And what is the chances of me reaching out to you and going, you fancy coming to talk about what you do on
mm,
this podcast if it hadn't have been for LinkedIn? And
yeah,
yeah, it's been an
yeah.
incredible platform for connecting up, 100%.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, sometimes it can be a little bit awkward, especially if you're out or if you're networking. And I have had people stop me on the street and say, "Oh, it's Rianne, isn't it, from LinkedIn?" And I'm like, "Oh no!" And I know some of the other influencers out there. I mean, I don't class myself as an influencer at all, but I know. So I have had that, and then some people come up to you at network and go, "Oh, hi, Rianne, how are you?" And I kind of must look at them blankly sometimes. They go, "Oh no, we've not met. I just follow you on LinkedIn." I think, "Oh, thank you," because I'm normally pretty good with names and faces. I normally remember people, but sometimes I think, "Do I know you, or do we just connect up through LinkedIn?" And not everybody's profile picture looks
Yeah,
like that. I try and keep mine as real as possible.
yeah. Just talk to us about how you've connected. You've obviously been in business a long time, and I've been in sales and marketing, business development for a long time. And back in the early days, it was always trying to sell the product or the thing. Do you think now that the way that your brand is being more online, that relationships trump over anything, and ultimately what you're selling, your service, your product is second
Second.
nature? Just give us your take now on how important personal branding and being seen is in today's kind of
Yeah,
market.
I mean, I think it's huge, and I think it does trump the product or the brand, and also I think um, it gives credibility to whatever service or brand it is that you're trying to deliver or sell. I mean, I saw a post recently by the founder of Brewdog, I think it was, that basically turned around and said that networking and relationship building doesn't build your business. And although there was a number of points in there that he alluded to that conflicted what he was saying, I kind of had to disagree with what he was saying. I mean, um, I was or wouldn't have been able to have set up RS Elite and gone and left a six-figure like salary company to set up by myself again, um, to be me, myself, and I. If it wasn't for my network and my connections,
Yeah,
I mean, if all else failed tomorrow and I needed to earn a living, I know that I could put one post out on LinkedIn and I would probably get a job offer the same day. And that's not me being like kind of blowing smoke at my own ass or being
no, I get
negative.
that. I get that.
It's because I've built that personal and that professional brand, and people know me. They know that I'm a genuine person. They know that I will try and help other people over my own kind of like self gain. And and that was one of the problems with doing what I do as a business. For the last kind of 15, 20 years in business, if you came to me and said, "Oh, Rianne, do you know somebody that?" I would be, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I'll do you an introduction." And I would put no monetary gain on that because for me, you're a connection, you're a friend. I'm going to just put you, if you need somebody, you're going to put somebody in touch with somebody. But obviously, my business model is about kind of professionally connecting, doing commission only projects, working on retainer with clients. So it was quite a difficult thing, but I wouldn't have been able to have done that if I didn't have a tried and trusted network,
Yeah,
or if I
yeah,
hadn't have built that brand and that relationship with people. Um, so you'll probably never hear me go into a networking event and tell anybody what I do straight away. Anyway, even it, I
yeah,
mean,
Yeah.
I'm probably the world's worst. So people would probably say, well, you're a really, really bad salesperson. Then again, I've had no formal sales training or marketing training or anything like that. I'm totally winging this, totally winging it. And for me, it's more about um, what do you do? What introductions can I do for you? And then I believe it's an old BNI kind of saying, but givers gain. And I believe in karma, and I believe that if you put good out, then it will eventually kind of pay you back. The universe will pay back.
Yeah.
And people
Yeah.
might say, "Oh, that's rubbish. You need to work hard. You need to hit sales, and you've got KPIs to hit. You've got this to hit." And yeah, okay, but it's a longer term strategy. It's not a quick fix, and that's
Yeah.
certainly how I set up. And we ran Oracle for 16 years, and it still continues to do too. It's about the
Mhm.
relationships and the business. Long comes
Yeah.
second, to be fair.
Yeah, it's. Do you know what? I think I learnt that as I got a bit older. That because to be honest, how many asbestos businesses are out there? You know, and I'm exactly the same in our end. You know, how many building surveyors are there? Right? There's thousands of building
Thousand.
surveyors. So my play on it is they all survey the wall and the roof and the doors the same, right? Yeah, you might have a quick £10 here and there, but if everyone does the same, if there's 1,000 people doing the same thing, how can you stand out? And it is the relationship building. And I go to networking events, and this guy one day literally was like, "Hi, I'm Dave." He weren't called Dave, but we'll call him Dave. And he started to sell me toilets for residential blocks. Now I'm like, obviously, I have got no interest in toilets for residential blocks, and what that did for me that day was like, no one cares what I've got to offer. They really don't care. They're not there to talk about toilets or
No.
cubicles or asbestos or construction. They're there to build relationships. And you forget, and I'm now like I'm very similar to you. If I walk into a room of network, I don't talk about what we do. I just talk about the person, and it seems
Yeah.
to have worked. And you've built. Do you know what's quite nice to hear that you said I've got no training because I'm same. I stand in a room with people. I've got no qualifications apart from just people qualifications. I hope I'm going to get by, and yeah, it works, doesn't it? It works. Just being a good person and bringing people together.
It does. It does massively. And I mean, I've been networking kind of in the construction sector in London probably for 5 years only, to be honest. And I was completely new. I remember the first time I came to London to a construction networking event. I drove to Bedford from Kettering. I spilt coffee down my top. I was having a meltdown in the car park about getting parked. I cried on the phone to my husband and said, I can't do this. I can't go to London. I can't get to London. I've nearly missed the train. I don't know where to park. When I got into London, it took me about an hour to navigate getting from one place to another. Then from where I got into Blackfriars Station, I had to walk 10 minutes to the venue. It absolutely chucked it down with rain. I've got naturally curly hair, so when I walked in, I looked like a drowned rat. I knew nobody apart from one
Oh my
person. And I walked in and was like, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. I thought I can't do this. Unfortunately, I was amongst some amazing people. So Christine Hall, who runs the networking lunches, and she still continues to do so. She was my first ever networking event that I went to, and it's kind of she started me on that journey, and they were really welcoming. And I remember the first time, probably the second time that I went to that event, somebody kind of said, "Oh, so what is it that you do?" And I was like, and I kind of went into just a bit salesy, I suppose, um, and this guy was kind of like looking at me, but he was kind of looking around, and you kind of thinking, this guy's not interested in anything I've got to say. And he went, okay, lovely to meet you. He said, get your boss to give me a ring. And I was like, okay, right. Clearly need to change this pitch, this elevator pitch, or whatever you call it. Um, So I very quickly then changed. It was like they were like, "Oh hi, who are you? What do you do?" I was like, "Oh hi, I'm Rianne. I own my own asbestos and surveying business." And straight away
Yeah,
people go, "Oh, you're a business owner. What is it? Your husband's business?"
yeah,
No, it's our business. And yeah, I mean, but I'd worked when I left school. I didn't want to go to uni. I went and did an MVQ apprenticeship. Um, Again, I had a really good kind of mentor from an early age of 16. And my first apprenticeship was in the technical and highways department. So it was the roads, the highways, the street lighting. So you can imagine it was 99% male dominated. Because I mean, you're talking
yeah,
what kind of 98, 99. So I think about in a department of 100 people, I think there was 5 women. Um, so at a very early age, I was kind of thrown into that mix of male-dominated industry, and that didn't faze me.
yeah,
I'm not easily intimidated, and it just kind of, as soon as you kind of change what you're saying, or if people then start to think you might be offended easily or something like that, then it can just get a different conversation. But I know that's so many people have had that, and I've managed to hold my own a number of times. And then people, I remember, would go, "What, you can price asbestos survey?" I'd be like, "Yeah, of course I can." And they'd be like, "Right, okay, so we've got a this, that, and the other." And I'd go, "Right, okay, well, so 2 surveyors a day, plus cherry picker, travel." And I'd sit there and I'd go, "Yeah, you'd be looking at about," and they'd go, "Really? Right, can you send me a quote?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." And then I could jump on the system because it was still like my business, and still I was still actively involved. I mean, I'd be in the office making tea, I'd do quotes, I'd pick the phone up. I'd be the first one to answer the phone in the office because I loved it, because I loved that buzz of, if it was a new inquiry
yeah,
coming in, it was a new client. It's a great feeling.
yeah.
But yeah, it's been a journey from that first interaction.
Yeah,
Uh,
and do you know what? It's been great to see it. Like I say, like we've never met, but LinkedIn brought us together. It feels like a lot people are on the journey with you, which is lovely. Even me, and you think, well, it's nice to kind of get that feedback. But just take us just on to the. I've seen you been on and off the golf course a bit this year, and you seem to be kind of getting yourself involved in this. Have you got a new golf network that you've set up?
So well, it's not a new one. That's mine. A good friend of mine, Chris Stanton. He is a an avid golfer, and depending on what day you ask him, he's really good at golf, or he's not, depending on what day. But so he set SPG Golf Series up 3 years ago, and the second year that he was there, I just said to him, like, "Look, I think somebody that I knew was going along." I knew Chris because I was doing some work with him at Neutral Carbon Zone, and he said, "Well, just come along." And I kind of went along, and just the intention was to help with the booze buggy. That was what I was there to do. And then I
Right.
just kind of started organising people and selling raffle tickets and just mucking in, because that's what you do when you're somewhere. And then the following year, he said, "Look," he said, "I could probably do with somebody. Would you like be okay to come along and help me?" Last year I did, I think 2 events for him, or 3, and then this year was like, "Right, I need you for all of these series." So I did the 6
Wow.
events with him
Mhm.
this year, um, and so Chris is the technical golfing brains behind it, and then I'm there to boss 50, 60 guys around, which is what I've been doing since I was 16. So I'm quite happy to do that.
Yeah.
Organise them, make sure that they've got all the registration, do all the raffle tickets and stuff, liaise with the sponsors, liaise with the hotels and things, and just generally there to support Chris. And we managed this year to get it down to a real fine art, and a lot of the clients that were on the events were like, wow, you do a great job, it's seamless, the feedback was great. So me and Chris said, well, we could do this as a bit of a side hustle, really. So we've got a couple of commissions for next year of companies that want to use our expertise and our organisation skills to host their own golf days. So, and I've never picked up a golf club in my life prior to doing this. And loads of people said you need to get on the golf course and go for lessons. It would open doors up for you from a
Yeah.
business perspective. And I was like, I ain't got time to learn golf. And so I'm signed on with Chris again to do 2025. I've just literally just before I was coming on with you, actually, I've just sent out probably about a dozen emails to people that I've reached out on LinkedIn to people that are interested in either sponsorship or getting involved in the events for next year. We've got one in Oxford, we've got one in Hull up north, we've got one in Liverpool, we've got Forest of Arden, one in amazing. So we've got some great places next year again, and I've even started going to the driving range once or twice a week and giving it a go.
Nice.
And I actually
Nice.
quite enjoy it. The only
Yeah.
thing that happens is though when I go at the driving range, they've got a golf pro shop. And I always find myself in there. I've got more golf tops and more golf outfits than I actually could play golf. All the
I
gear
love
needs
it.
my gear.
Yeah, one of them, definitely. You'll have to let me know. I grew up playing golf. I played for 20 odd years, and then yeah, I had family, and it all kind of came to a bit of a stop. So
Where are you? Where are
yes, I'm
you
always up for a bit of
located?
golf. York.
Yeah, so we've got Forest Pines, which is kind of Hull Scunthorpe way
Yeah,
next year,
yeah,
um, and then we've got Thoresby Hall as well, so that's up kind of that way as well. So there's a couple there that are going to be north,
yeah.
which you could definitely get involved with. And even if you like a bit of travel, we've got Oxford and Forest of Arden, so they're just great. I mean, they're predominantly kind of FM, built environment, construction, property sectors that attend, and we have a great mixture of suppliers, end users, tier one contractors. So they are a really good source of networking, and you get different levels as well. We
Yeah,
also introduced it to, we got Orbis Protect sponsored our first ladies four ball this year as well. So that's something that we're hoping to improve on and continue with for next series. We're looking to get more women four balls and more women just to kind of join on as well. So that'd be great to see.
mm. It's brilliant. It really is good. Just on the final part, really, just about what advice would you give to, like, you've built an incredible network, and one, how important is networking for building what you've built? And two, what advice would you give to people that are just kind of dipping the toes into trying to get new business, I guess?
I think the two things that I would say is kind of be yourself. Don't try and put a mask on. I mean, some people it's not natural for them to be in a networking environment, perhaps, so they do have to kind of work hard. And some people get exhausted just by reading how many events I might attend today or in a week. But I think it's about that consistency as well. If you go to one networking event once, then do nothing with that, or you might hard follow up with people, then I think you're going to be you're not going to have a very good experience. It's a long-term process. It's not a quick fix. Very rarely have I, and do I know very few people that have walked into a room, met somebody for the first time, and then somebody's received £1 million or even £1,000 order. But some people do have this misconceived idea that you walk in and people will send you an order, and it's not the case at all. So it's about that consistency um, and kind of I suppose, making the connections to other people, showing interest in them, and see how you can help them first and foremost. Yes, I know it's difficult for probably business development managers or people that are in sales roles where they're obviously um, they've got sales targets, or they're monitored on obviously how many leads they get and things like that. But you're more likely to put people off by walking in front of them and shoving your business card in them and, oh, give me a ring.
Yeah.
It's a lot more to it than that. But yeah, just be consistent in the events that you go to. Try and help people more than you're asking for work, and just be genuine and authentic with who you are. You're not going to meet everybody that you meet. You're not going to necessarily like or get on with. You might not like them. They might not like you, and that I've found that sometimes quite a challenge. I've kind of thought, oh, like, what if they don't like me, or what do you mean? And everybody, it's really hard because you kind of, we're all human, and you take
Yeah,
it personally.
yeah,
Well, if they
yeah,
don't like me and stuff, but you're always going to get that, and you will gravitate to some people that perhaps are not necessarily good in business, good for business, but you might form friendships off it, or you might form a partnership, or you might share ideas, or they might just be genuinely good for you for whatever reason. And then there'll be people that you naturally gravitate away from as well. And I'm a firm believer of
yeah.
collaboration over competition, and I think you touched on it the other day with one of your posts where people were saying to you, well, why are you putting yourself out there amongst your competition? Well, why would you not? I mean, it's a collaborative world out there, and unless you're kind of sharing a tender in front of people, I don't see the big problem. There's always going to be room for for people to partner, or and never burn your bridges, because you don't know when you might need that person moving forward. They might need you, or vice versa, and I do believe that you pay back what you give out. So I would say never say
Yeah.
no to people.
Yeah, no, that's a lovely. It's a lovely way to end that. To be perfectly honest, thank you so much for coming on. It's appreciated.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. Thank you ever so much, Dan.